Yes. We cross here. Let me go in and tell you, because I don't.
I'll go get them. Are they in the room?
This Augustine? Yeah.
Is he in the room?
Yeah, here.
Yes.
Practice and open.
Were you in the room right now? Are you in the room right now? So just hang out there for a second. Come walk over here.
He know the area. He graduated. Yeah. Yeah. We over in the next building where we used to be.
I have a question. Can I have $20?
Exactly. Exactly.
He's gonna give you $20.
What? Why you just couldn't give it $1?
I needed this what?
Well, she need a quarter. She need 50 cents.
I don't have no change on
Here comes Sundar. Listen, here.
So everybody have this schedule, so
Yes.
maybe we could just do, I think we went over this. Anyone? We went over all this, right? So we can do an open discussion.
For week 7, it says June 27th.
Yeah, that's just the typo on the date.
Yeah,
Should be the
right.
24th, no? Do you have any extra of these, Nehemiah?
Yeah, I got one more.
We did, talk lessons. Group prayer, no?
Yeah, we did. Let me talk.
Let me see.
There's one posted video on Facebook. It's a prayer class number 6. I think you guys, that was the last one.
So we can do an open discussion, I guess. We got to go back over.
A couple classes ago, you said you divided, like the physical energy and mental energy. Somebody, like, for example, who's working out a lot, doing a lot of exercise, he increases physical energy, but diminishes his mental energy. And the other way around too, once when you're meditating and working on, spiritual walking, you're reducing physical energy and increasing mental energy. I want to ask, like in traditional Buddhist teachings, they say that you have to have control of the body first before you can gain full control of the mind. Is that like separate, wrong, or
No, it's not.
so how? So how do they relate that to what you said, for example?
How do you control something?
you practice?
You practice, right?
So the Buddhists would say, develop your body, get in good shape. Isn't that increasing physical energy, diminishing mental energy? But in the long run,
Yeah, but you take control over the physical energy. because you want to remove the physical energy. You want to be able to take the physical energy and move it to a mental state at will. Without control over the physical, you can't do that. You
So you're
understand?
talking about control over your senses?
Control over everything. See, in order for me to pick up this and put it here, it takes physical energy, but it's the mental energy that's driving it, right? Now, if I didn't have control over my physical, I couldn't do that, right? So, and then I couldn't do it well, because you notice a child can't take this, open it, and pour it into a cup without wasting it, right? So they lack physical control, but they have mental control to a certain extent, because a child know that the liquid within that bottle is good for it, so they want it and they cry for it. They use whatever senses they can to instruct the mother or father to give them that that nutrition. So they lack physical control, but when they gain physical control, then they can do that, right? But in order to do that, it becomes what's the word for it? It becomes almost instinctive. They don't think about it. So they lose a lot of the experience of that. It goes directly to the subconscious mind. But when you have control over the mental faculties, then you retain that experience, which increases your ability of everything. It increases your experience, and you develop spiritually, physically, emotionally, and psychically, by having a greater awareness of what's going on around you. See, a mystic, if you talk to a true mystic or yogi, they have a very good memory. They can remember minute details. Because why? Because they are aware of the physical and the mental at the same time. Almost nothing become, in other words, the things that you may take for granted, the little simple things, they don't. They learn from all that movement. And that's the difference. That's a big difference.
So would you say that the best balance in spiritual development would be exercise, karma yoga?
It's all of those things.
A balance.
Pranayama.
Yeah, not just pranayama. You should blend it in with exercise.
Yeah, but pranayama, pranayama is hatha yoga. You can't do pranayama without hatha yoga. I only gave you one aspect of pranayama, but there's many aspects of pranayama. Pranayama is hatha yoga. Kundalini yoga is hatha yoga, because you can't really truly practice Kundalini yoga without practicing hatha yoga or pranayama. Because the beginning stages of hatha yoga, Kundalini yoga is hatha yoga. Because what does it do? It has you, because in fact pranayama, there's a pranayama exercise. I gave it to you, but I don't know if you all read it. In the science of breath, there's a series of exercises, and they're hatha yoga exercises, right? But it's pranayama. It's a way they teach you how to walk. You're supposed to walk a certain way and breathe a certain way, move your arms a certain way, all of that. Yeah, all of that is pranayama.
Yogi, complete breath.
Yeah, the yoga complete breath, and then there's an exercise in there. There's jumping jacks. There's all these type of things in there. What we call jumping jacks, but that's an ancient exercise. So all of that is pranayama. Most of the exercises that you were taught in school and in your physical education classes are yoga or yogic pranayama exercises. But what the school did, the school removed the breathing part of it. See? They didn't give you the breathing part of it. But all of that is hatha yoga. So yeah, you should do those things to to take control of the physical body. Then once you have control over the physical body, you can demand the physical body to be at rest. See, that's the only reason why you want to take control of the physical body, to put the physical body at rest. And once you put the physical body at rest, you increase the mental activity of the body. Well, in other words, what you do, you combine Ida and Pingala together in order to open the door to Sushumna. That's why you do that. So it's not looking down on physical exercise or mental. What you want to do, you want to unite the two energies in order to go into a higher state of consciousness. Because remember, the original awareness, the original ability of the soul at its highest level was when Sushumna, Ida, and Pingala was one. And that's when the soul was a god, held the status of a god, So that's what you want to do. You want to bring that marriage about. And then you move the Ida and Pingala together, united up the spine through all the chakras. Okay? So you understand?
Yeah.
We decided to have a question and answer because we went over everything. Do you have any questions on what I went over the last 6 weeks?
Can you go over the mystic knowledge of God's law, karma?
The mystic, yes, I went over that.
Oh, can you go over it again?
Can I go
please?
over again? What part of it you want me to go over? What?
About how to, about the law of karma.
The law of karma?
Yes.
The law of karma is it's action. It's everything in action. And related to this subject, we gave 8 components to the mystic prayer, which was Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, imagination, visualization, pranayama, mudra yoga, and invocation. And then karma. And karma is the thing that places all those above things in action. In fact, it was referred to back in the day of the Care Society, they call it the miracle kit to prayer. And those 8 components are the miracle kit to praying. And what happens when you take the above 7, which was the Nani, which is wisdom, the Bhakti, which is devotion to God, and the imagination, which is the ability to create mental things and put psychic, mental, and physical energy into action, and the visualization to sustain it, and the pranayama to enhance that energy once you put it in motion, and then the Bhakti yoga, then the mudra yoga, which seals, redirect, and project that energy, all right? And then the invocation is to impregnate that energy with the purpose and direction. So when you put those 7 things in action, you have karma yoga, which is you conform yourself. Anybody remember what I said? So I see if anybody awake. Pressure towards conformity. You become a point of consciousness under God. Pushing those energies to bring about the miracles that you seek, or a resort that you seek. And those are the 7 components that make up the law of karma with this. As we know, the law of karma is pressure towards conformity. And when you perform this type of prayer, you become a point of consciousness under common authority. All right, because all your actions are accounted for. All your actions are measured and predetermined, and they are working towards a perfect end. Okay, that means in other words, you're not praying for the death of someone, and that's a warning I need to give. This type of prayer, do not use it wrong. You'll find yourself at a violent end. Okay, when you use it, especially because mainly because once you receive a higher knowledge, you are responsible for that higher knowledge. And in this prayer, you have been given mudra yoga. To misuse mantra yoga or mudra yoga, which is the same. Mantra and mudra yoga is one and the same. Mudra yoga comes from mantra yoga. To misuse this would bring about 3 to 5-fold negative karma against you. So don't use it wrong. Never use this practice for selfish or to hurt someone. In other words, never do it, because you bring huge amount of negative karma against you. So don't do that. That's why mudra yoga is kept secret. That's why mantra yoga is kept secret, because that's the easiest way to build up negative sanskaras against yourself, negative karma, by using these methods in the wrong way. So be very, very careful about that. Did I answer your question so far, or you want to know some more?
That's
Any other questions?
In terms of healing, do you think that combining these techniques with like acupuncture would be good or even more beneficial?
Combining them with acupuncture?
For example, my dad does acupuncture. He's never been introduced to this type of healing techniques we did in our last one. So I've been meaning to want to sit down and talk to him about it. And I know acupuncture deals with the energy flow within the body, so I was wondering if doing acupuncture and doing the healing that we were given would be even more.
I think it enhances it, yeah. I think it will. But it's someone who studied acupuncture and then studied this type of, they'll have to change their philosophy a little bit, because this type of the type of healing and stuff that we do is more Hindu than Chinese, because the Chinese tuck out a lot of the chakras and a lot of the stuff. They tuck that out in order to develop the acupuncture. So they have to reintroduce themselves to that type of understanding. But I think it will enhance acupuncture. I think it will.
Do you mind? Did you go over what constitutes a balanced prayer and an unbalanced prayer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you go over that again?
Which one was that? That was early on, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Slide number 2.
I mean, like in making up our own prayer, as opposed to just using the 12 blessings or the other prayers, like what needs to be in it to make sure it's not.
Well, when I gave you all that, I used a formula that I continue to use. Anybody remember it? 4.
Belief, absolute belief in God,
Yeah.
confession,
Yeah.
Appeal.
honest confession. Yeah. And what else?
Appeal.
Appeal,
Transformation or change.
and then change in your appeal. That's the formula Dr. King gave us, and that makes that's the formula for a balanced prayer, personal prayer. If you're making up your own personal prayer, you know,
Can you give an example of that?
it's hard to give an example. I mean, it's kind of if you look at some of the prayers that Dr. King gave, it's in there. That formula is there. You know, but it's brief, even in some of the prayers that he gave. If you look at some of these prayers, anyone have this with the sacred? Have it? Look at some of these. The formula is there on some of the prayers he gave. You know, he gave the prayer for Jesus. He gave that prayer. May your light shine. I think Jesus gave that one. But if you look in here, that formula is there all through most of these prayers. And what it is that in the beginning of your prayer, you may say a couple sentences that really express how you feel about God. All right, and then once once you make that statement, right? Then you move forward and confess. Make an honest confession. Don't make it long and drawn out like some people do. But I mean, just find the exact words to state, to confess where you are in life and how small you are, how much you really lack. But be honest about it. Come up with maybe one or two sentences again to do that. Maybe 3 if you need it. And then after that, you make an appeal. Say, even though I am that, I realize, because remember the first one, you recognize God. So the third one, you realize that you are a divine aspect of God, going through a set of experiences, right? And you may say to yourself, even though, even though I realize that I am a divine spark from you, and I make this appeal, because you have an inherent right to call on that divine energy, but you script yourself by with the confession of all your faults, right? And then, so now you're prepared because in a sense you have purified yourself for that moment, and now you're prepared to make an appeal, to ask for something. And you ask for that, and then the last statement is that you make a statement where you swear that upon this you will change. Okay? You'll change from the things that of all your sins or whatever you've been doing. And if you continue to do that, then you will get the strength. In most cases, when you're going with personal prayers, you're asking for strength and power to give you the strength and understanding and to change, to do better, to move beyond, to ask for some type of power to develop yourself spiritually or mentally or physically or whatever. And then at the end of the prayer, you vow to change. And that's the formula. That's the formula. That's the formula to personal prayer. And in fact, Dr. King said, if you do that on a daily basis, let's say if you want to make a change, he said within a month, you should see change. You should see an improvement in yourself. He said within 6 months you will not recognize yourself. You know, because all those things that was holding you back and pulling you down, every time you say that prayer, you burning that up. You know, you burning that because why? You're raising your consciousness. You know, you're allowing the power of Kundalini to run rapid through the nadis, you know, to purify yourself. So the same thing that mantra and mudra is helping you do, the prayer can help you do the same thing.
Can you repeat the prayer like mantra?
Yes, you can. I mean, you need to say the prayer. You know, spend 10, 20, 30 minutes a day doing it. You know, you may have a prayer for 3 different ailments of yourself. You know, 3 different things that you know you need to change. So you should do that, and you'll notice the change. You'll notice you'll gain control over certain things that you had no control over. You know, so it works. It works. So you should try it. Hello? Yeah. Oh, I was just letting you know wherever you were. We had to move. But you're not gonna make it? All right. Any other questions? Yeah.
What happens to the point where you get ready to pray, but for whatever reason you're just not? I don't know if it's a issue of concentration at times, but you set everything the same and you get ready to pray, but nothing really comes out. There's nothing to say. Like you just. Am I the only one that experienced that, or?
What you don't have a feeling to pray, or what?
I have the feeling to pray, but when I get there to like
You talking
to
about
start
personal
the
prayer?
yeah, to start the prayer. I don't know if it's a feeling of being overwhelmed or where to start. I just go blank and I fall asleep.
That's why I say write it down. Write it down so that you, and then try to memorize it, and then try to put your feeling into it. You know, because a lot of times, you know, I know I had problems. I kind of know what you're talking about. I experienced that in the beginning, but because it's hard, at least it was for me. It's hard for me to work on my personal, because I felt guilty when I should be praying for the world, and here I am praying for myself. You know, so I kind of felt guilty about that. So that was my reason, and it was hard for me to put it down and to go and just do it on demand. So my brother and my father told me, write it down, memorize it, and put your feeling into it, and then do it. So and then you'll find that you can do it. But it will, if I can testify, it will change your life, and it give you the strength that you need to conquer certain things that constantly hold you back.
What about silent prayers?
Silent prayers. What you trying to do with the silent prayer? When
Like,
you say silent prayer, what are you talking about?
it's like when, all right, sometimes after I'm done with the 12 blessings, I'll direct a prayer to Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, but I won't say anything. I'll open up the prayer, and then I'll sit there in silence for a few seconds, and then I'll close it.
And what are you doing? You sending the energy to them?
Yeah.
And that's all. You just ask your body. You ask for you to be a vessel for the energy to go through.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Sorry.
Lately, I've noticed while I'm meditating, and then suddenly I'll find myself asleep. And I don't know energy. I don't know if it's, you know, if it's something that's normal or, but I've been experiencing it for, you know, a little bit now.
How long you try to meditate?
Maybe for, you know, 10 or 15 minutes.
When do you go to sleep?
Different times, maybe 11 or, you know, 10.
Within 11 minutes? Huh?
Huh?
You say you fall asleep within 11 minutes?
Oh, no. It will be like maybe after 7 or 10 minutes.
Only do it for 5 minutes. You cannot fall asleep meditating. That's not good. All right, limit yourself to 5 minutes and then try to build it up. Okay? What are you doing before you meditate? Are you exercising or what?
No, not all the time. Let's say usually I don't do exercising, you know, after that. It will be after I finish, you know, relaxing a little bit, then I'll go to bed and I'll sit for a little while and then do the violet flames and everything, and then I'll close my eyes and then, you know, starting to meditate. But I noticed that it doesn't take me long, and then I just.
And what time?
but just-
What time of the day is that?
That's night.
What time?
Oh, like around maybe 9:30ish, 10:30ish.
It's best to do meditative practices either first thing in the morning, or if you designate a time in the afternoon, designate a time that you're not worn out or tired. And because you want to be energetic when you go in to do your meditative exercise. You don't want to be tired. You don't want to be ready to go to sleep. You know, because what you're doing, you're limiting yourself when you do that. All right. So you want your body to be energetic. One good thing to do if you're going to do it at that time, exercise and build up the energy in the body, and then do it. And you'll find that you can do it for a longer period of time. All right. But you don't exhaust yourself in doing it. Let's say you find that after 20, 30 minutes you're falling asleep, then limit yourself to the 20 minutes. Don't go into the into the sleep realm in doing it. And then when you want to increase it, then you do it for 20 minutes. Get up, walk around, you know, do something energetic, get the body back into this energetic mode, and then go back and do it for another 10 to 20 minutes. But don't do it. Contemplative meditative exercise is an active thing. It's not a thing that sends you into the dreamland. You'll never succeed going into the dreamland. So don't do that. All right. Any other questions? Yeah.
Is it helpful, some people who cannot see God in an impersonal way?
Mm-hmm.
There's some people who just cannot impersonalize God. Would it be helpful for them to see God maybe as a divine mother or somebody?
I've heard of people doing that. I don't recommend it, but I've heard people doing it. But I don't see the danger in doing it, because everything is God. So I don't see the danger in doing that.
Yeah, I was just thinking about her question earlier, and I'm just thinking maybe if she were to visualize God maybe as like her mother, her divine mother,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you feel more free to pour yourself to her, or it, or him, however you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, I like to go for gusto, but it's up to you. But God is everything and nothing all at the same time. And when you realize that, then you can appreciate God to a greater extent. The Buddhists say that they'll talk about they'll tell their students to look at the will. You know, the spoke in the will is what?
Spoken word.
The spoke in the will is what? It's empty.
Oh.
It's empty. You know. But yet, without that spoke, the will is what? It's useless. It can't stand up by itself. Right? You know, and a good thing to do, which my brother had me do when I was little, to build a will and build that spoke and then try to stand it up. The will was useless. But when you put the spoke in there, the will becomes useful. You know, so you can move it around and you can take it anywhere. But without it, it was useless. So God is everything and nothing. You know, in our eyesight. So that's the big difference. You know. So some people I know the Hindus, certain sects of the Hindus, they use the Divine Mother, they use Vishnu, they use Brahma, they use all these things to personalize it, which is good. I don't disagree with it, but then understand that it's the universe and beyond the universe, and it's really unconceivable. That's what God is. Any other questions?
I don't know if you can do it, but in Realize Your Inner Potential, Dr. King does a comparison between the Lord's Prayer in the Bible and the New Lord's Prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Could you?
There's a lecture tape. Did you listen to the lecture tape?
What's it called?
It's called the Lord's Prayer.
No, I haven't.
It's called the New Lord's Prayer. There's a lecture tape where, I don't know, maybe like 80 minutes, where he dissects the Lord's Prayer and the New Lord's Prayer. It's a real good tape. So I would say go get it, because I can't do justice to that in a few minutes. But it's a real popular tape too, or it's a CD now. I think it's on CD. It's a real popular CD. But he goes into it and he shows the difference, and he tells you. I think he talks about parts of it that he don't think that Jesus said, and parts that what Jesus was referring to. And then he gives the New Lord's Prayer and show the great difference. Because one of the things he say that the 12 blessings is an extension of Jesus' teachings. So when Jesus came through him in 1958 to give those teachings, that was an extension of Jesus' teachings. So he was showing the difference, and it's a big difference. He would have to take each one of those blessings and actually contemplate or meditate on them to get the real benefit out of it. It's not reading it, but really, really take time to go into the silence on it, and you'll see the tremendous, the megabytes of energy, of knowledge within that, within each blessing. It takes you to another world. Any other questions?
But how is it an extension?
Hmm?
How is it the 12 blessings an extension?
It's an extension of his teachings. You got to read it and see. It's an extension of his teachings he gave on the Mount. The Sermon on the Mount is an extension of those type of teachings. You don't see it? Read it and study it. So you went to seminary school and you got all endowed in the orthodoxy, but you got to look at it from a different angle now. Go back and read it from your knowledge, from the knowledge point you have now. Because most people, most people, they take the, when they get to this type of teaching, they take the Bible and throw it away. Right? I'm telling people don't do that. Because there's wisdom in the Bible. There's a lot of wisdom in the Bible. There's a lot of secrets in it. So go back and read it and study it under the light of this type of knowledge. You know, then you'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, I showed it to you one night. I showed you a couple of verses where they, anybody remember who was with you? Were you there? When I opened up the Bible and I showed you a couple of points and showed you where they spoke about the other worlds or whatever.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
And who was that? That was Paul, right?
Yeah.
Where Paul spoke about other planets and other worlds and other beings from other planets. I mean, it's right there in the Bible, but of course you can't see that when you have a teacher before you that's that's teaching you all this orthodoxy because they haven't risen to, but it's right there. It's right there in the Bible. It's right there in
I
the
think
Bible.
it also says in the Bible how Jesus is really from Venus.
Yes, it's right there. It's right there in the Bible. You know. So you know what I was showing you was because I'm constantly talking about the Constitution of Man, right? And I showed you where the Constitution of Man is in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only Paul, but several masters spoke about it in the Bible. You know, just like Jesus said that he was from Venus. It's in Revelation, the last book of Revelation. Jesus said that. It's in the last book. It's in the last page, matter of fact. The last page of Revelation. It's right there. He said, I come from the house of David and the bright and morning star. And if you know astronomy, you know the bright and morning star is Venus. So it's right there. So it's no secret. These things, these things that we're telling is right there in the Christian book too. It's just that you see it. Genesis, the whole story of Genesis is about the Constitution of Man. Go back and read it under that light. It talks about the 7 chakras. It talks about the states of those chakras. It talks about the level, the involution and the evolution that man has to make. It's right there in Genesis, in the book of Genesis. But you cannot see it if you don't.
The 7 days.
The 7 days are the 7 chakras and the 7 realms. It's right there. Because each one of them describe it. I gave like a 3 or 4 week course on it one time. To an old class. Maybe like 10 years ago. But it's there. It's right there. You just gotta look at it on that level of consciousness. So don't throw it away. Don't throw the Bible away. Any other questions?
I'm comparing it right now, the Lord's Prayer and the New Lord's Prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost the same, only this one's extended.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, only this one's more detailed, more.
Mm-hmm. It's more powerful in mine.
They expanded on it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's using you more of an instrument of pushing out power than the Lord's Prayer.
When they say that kingdom, what are they referring to?
I have no idea. I have to think about it. I have to read the whole thing. It's been years since I studied it. I mean, I went through studying the Bible when I was 11 years old. I sat down for a year and a half and went through it. So, and I only did it because it wasn't exposed to me. So, because I was getting most of the Hindu and the Buddhist teachings, and I know my father and my grandmother had came from the Baptists. So I wanted to know what they knew. But yeah, I was disappointed, and yet I was elated at the same time. But that's because most people didn't see what I was seeing as I read. And when you tried to explain to them, you got into these huge arguments. It's just so frustrating. I say, well, it didn't mean that. And they say, well, what? They believe in all this craziness. But then I realized as I went into college and I went back into a little study of it, I studied I began to study the mystic Christianity part of it. And there's a book by Yoga Ramacharaka. He wrote Mystic Christianity, and he went into it on a scientific level. And then he also went into it showing you all the different languages. So then I went and studied maybe for another, maybe 6 or 7 months, and I studied the different languages and why all these mistakes and the history behind it. I said, okay, I understand now. So then I made a conscious decision never to argue or discuss it, to go into debate with people anymore. Because if they didn't, because it was clear, because then I realized that I walked into any library, any public library, and you could pull up any reference or encyclopedia and it'll tell you simple things like this right here, that the King James Version of, 1611? The King James Version of 1611 was written by King James asking 47 scholars to translate the Holy Scriptures into a book so that he can place it in everyone's home, right? Because the people was not respecting him. They didn't want to go to war. They thought he was, they thought he was some heathen or whatever. They just fell upon the the throne, because remember the king was an anointed person. They felt that he mistakenly received this kingship, so they didn't want to follow him. They did not want to follow him. So he got Shakespeare and 46 other scholars at the time, not religious scholars, not ordained men, not some righteous people, just scholars, to translate that so that he can put it into every house.
So which version of the Bible do you think is the closest to the true scriptures? How can we discern?
You just have to go and look at it. Some people say the Maccabee, which I don't know. Some people say that the Maccabee is, but the point I'm trying to make is that once he did that, 1611, I think it was 100 years later, a group of real religious scholars came together and analyzed the King James Version. I think it was like 17 something, 1710 or 1730, I can't remember the exact date. But they went, and when they did it, this is in the encyclopedia, in any library, they found 30,000 mistranslations. It's only about 1,400 pages in the Bible. They found 30,000 mistranslations, and most of those translations was due to the fact that when they moved from Arabic to Greek or Latin to English, that's how the translations came. That's how the mistranslations. So they said in most cases it changed the meaning of the whole story. They took a lot of the ancient mystic teachings out of there, out of the Holy Scriptures. So, that's a big problem. And it's the same thing happened with the Torah. Same thing happened with the Torah. That's where the old scriptures is really the Torah. That's where the same thing happened with the Torah. When they tried to move the Torah into English or Latin, they lost the meaning. And that's why and that's one of the reasons why you had a split of all these different Christian organizations, because some of them realized that the meaning was changed, the rites was changed, the rituals was changed, and so now you have all these different sects of Jewish and different sects of the Christians, But that's in any public library, and it's a shame that most people don't go in and study. They just accept it, and most people are not really concerned about these things. They're concerned about having a nice car, a color TV in the house. That's what most people are. But they don't look into that. They don't look into the fact that that this is why it is the way it is. But, you know, there's still megabytes of truth in it. And you have to, you have to realize that. Because the doctrines, the great masters didn't come down to earth for nothing. And they didn't perform those miracles for nothing. They didn't do the tasks, not necessarily the miracles, but the missions. They didn't do those missions for nothing. Any other questions?
I have a question about group devotion, and if it's the same idea about following a particular deity, and also about chanting, if it's related to meditation or to mantra.
Like what? For instance, what you're trying to say?
Well, like you haven't mentioned chanting, you mentioned mantra, and I'm wondering if it's related, if it's the same thing.
Mantra. I did mention chanting, but you may hear me say japa, which is repetition of mantra. Most mantras are holy words of God, right? And how you unlock that mantra is by chanting that mantra thousands upon thousands of times, right? And you could do it with a mala, or you can do it with your hand, counting on your hand, right? But you have to chant the mantra for many, many times. And then what will happen is, in chanting that mantra many, many times in a meditative type state, repeatedly, over and over and over and over and over, you begin to purify the aura, right? And when you purify the aura, you automatically purify the nadis. When the nadis are purified, the nadis is the thing that carries your consciousness throughout all the bodies, the etheric bodies, all the pranic bodies, the mental bodies, the physical body. The nadis carries consciousness, which is energy, throughout all your bodies. And when you purify the consciousness in this way, then you begin to unlock the mantra. Each mantra has a lock in it. And by chanting that mantra for a long time, you begin to unlock that. And when I say unlock that, you begin to actually synchronize the chakras. Because each mantra is a part of the chakras. It's made up from the chakras. And in fact, if you notice when you hear about the chakras, you hear about the petals, right? The petals are actually mantras. They're little sound bites of mantra, of root mantras or seed mantras. So each mantra has a seed mantra in it, and it has a root in it, right? So when you chant those mantras, you synchronize the chakras, and then the chakras begin to unlock, the aura begins to spin, the nadis begin to become purified, and it makes room for the kundalini to rise and to permeate itself throughout the body. And then you go into these visions. And when you go into these visions, then you have wisdom. You have all different type of knowledge and understanding. And then eventually you'll be able to raise the power kundalini. That's what mantra truly does for you. All right. So now, of course, the Hindus, and for good reasons, each one of the mantras, each one of the chakras, they talk about these deities, right? Everybody heard of those? Each chakra have a particular deity, right? I prescribe to that, but I don't teach that. All right, I'm trying to teach you in a Western form. If you grew up in the East, then I can teach that. But here, the deity is only a diva. All right, that's what those deities are. Each chakra has a series of divas, right, that control the energy flow of that particular realm or chakra.
You say
All right?
to the diva of like the physical plane.
Yeah, and each bijak or petal is a diva. All right. Now you associate divas with what? What you associate divas with? Anyone know?
Those who
Huh?
Angels?
No. They said Whitney Houston was
a diva,
Oh, diva.
because of why?
the way she sang.
Because of the sound, the music. So if you always hear that, that's why you hear that. The sound bit or the petal is a particular sound, right? And that sound calls a diva to you. All right? So if you chant a mantra, then once you chant that mantra, you bring a diva into your presence, right? I bring water here. I brought a diva with me because this water cannot exist without a diva being present. If I light a match, then I bring a diva into my presence, the diva of fire, right? If I bring a stone out of the earth, I bring a diva here. In order for that wall to keep the chemical composition of stone, steel, and all that, there's a diva presence to make that stay like that. So the divas are all around us, and that's what that means. All right. So now, in order to drive home the reverence and respect, the Hindus made all these divas like demigods or whatever, so that man can give them respect. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, you know. But in the Western world, you know, so that you can understand that, I mean, they've been doing it for the last couple hundred years. We talk about this is the demon kingdom, and the demon kingdom live between the realms. They don't live on the realm, but they live between the realms. They are the vibrational force of all the realms, all right? And that each chakra, each sound, each part of that chakra has a diva. Each chakra has so many divas. You heard me talk about the Tavic rays of the chakras, right? Each Tavic ray has a diva attached to it. All right? Each Tavic ray has a diva attached to it. So that diva regulates the energy flow, you know. So that's the difference. This whole world is balanced with hundreds and thousands of divas that live between the realms. They have vowed to make sure that the law of God is present and working in perfection, because they are devoted. They are loyal servants of karma. All right, that's what the divas are. They're loyal servants of karma. You know, they do not go outside of the law of karma. And what they do, all our actions, all our thoughts, produce a particular energy. They receive that energy and they give you the resort of that energy. And that's what the chakras, when the chakras, the vortex of energy that's coming through you and you pushing out, that's what that means. You know, I don't think you'll get a better a description of that than what I just gave to you. You know, I kind of go into that in my book called I forget the name of my own book. The language of the soul. You know, so I mean, you get that book, you'll see. You can go into it. I go into it a little bit in there. But that's what the divas are. That's what the petals are. You know. So don't get it mixed up with the deities and all that. I mean, you can if you want to go that route, but if you want a clear understanding of why, and I think a lot of the Hindus, back in the day, they were dealing with, some of them were dealing with uneducated audience of people because there was so many people there, a lot of them wasn't afforded the education, you know. And that's why when you look at Hinduism and then you look at Buddhism, Buddhism was given to a more educated audience because Buddha was a prince. He was a prince. And a lot of his followers were from the royal family, and they were highly educated people. So that's why you find that Buddha, some 2,600 years ago, said action and reaction is opposite but equal. That's written in his teaching. That's that's one of the laws of thermodynamics, right? But he gave that law 2,600 some years ago. Because why? He was speaking to an educated audience. But Jesus was not speaking to an educated audience. He was speaking to a more ignorant audience. And he said, as you sow, so shall you reap. Which means the same thing that Buddha said. He said that 600 years after Buddha did. But he was speaking to a more, uneducated audience. The same thing with the Hindus, because there was so many of them, and so many of them didn't understand that they were speaking to an uneducated audience, an ignorant audience. So they had to teach them the best way they could, and they say, oh, this is God, this is God, this is God. They related everything to God. But when you look at their teachings, they believe in one God, but they tell you that everything is God because everything came from God. Same thing that the Christians and the Jewish do, believe in too, because you go back to the Old Testament, and you go to the New Testament. In Romans it says, ye are gods. Go back to the Romans book. I can't remember the exact verse. I think it's Romans 15 something. But it say, ye are gods. Speaking about all men, and so, so we don't get deterred by that. But that's what that means,
So then the same thing with the guru devotion, basically it's recognizing that divinity is within everything within this particular person.
And the same thing as what now?
Well, I just get a bit worried when I see people giving devotion to a particular human being above others, and I understand this person needs, deserves respect, and they're expecting something back from this person.
Well, let me tell you the secret behind that. When we're talking, I would respect and worship someone that I see as my teacher, adept, or master. Because why? Because they're closer to God than what I am. And that's how you should give your devotion to them under those conditions. If you recognize that they're closer to God than what you are, then you respect them, you worship them. You're worshiping God through them. You're not worshiping them. You're worshiping God through them. Because it's through them that you'll reach a higher level of God, if they're willing to give it to you, And that's how you should do it. I mean, that's the proper way. In fact, that's the only way you would learn. All right? If someone gives you truth and you disrespect that person, you have just held yourself up for maybe lifetimes. And that's the truth. That's another karmic law that you don't break. You don't break it. And if you do, you fall, and you fall hard. And you can go back and look at any teachings, whether it's the Buddhist teachings, the teachings of Jesus, the teachings of the Jews, any teachings, that law, they always give some story talking about that particular thing. In fact, Dr. King, when he was here, he gave a story. In fact, he revealed a part of history. He said that he said that there was a young adept, a yogi adept, who was very powerful and a very good student. His master was killed and struck down before him, and he couldn't understand that, and he just, I think something fell down off a hill and crushed his master in front of him.
A rock crushed him.
Yeah, and he just couldn't accept that. So he turned away from the teachings. And the next couple of lives, he found himself as a soldier. And he was the person who actually took who put the sword in the fire and heated it up and blind Samson, the great Saint Samson. And Samson was a great, powerful cosmic being. He fell so low that he turned around and blind someone that could have been his own master. So that's how low he fell. And the point that Dr. King was making is that because he turned away from his master's teachings, and he fell lower and further than he would have normally felt. So you don't do that. When you recognize someone to be your teacher or master or whatever, then you give them that respect. You should honor them like that. If you don't, then you set yourself up. So I mean, it can happen. It can happen to people. That's what. Now I don't know. I'm not saying that everyone see it like that, but that's a tradition, and a lot of people when they follow the Pope, that's one of the reasons why they should be doing it, if they believe that he's closer to God than them. If they believe that.
I know, if you don't believe that, then.
No. So, but when someone demonstrates to you that they are that leader or teacher or adept or master, then it's your duty to give them that respect. And that's what you should do. And you should worship them in that way, not worship them as a person, but worship them as that they are closer to God than you, and that you worship God through them or through their teachings. Any other questions?
I have a couple of questions. Going back to what you were talking about with divas, specifically with, like, say, with the bottle of water, how could you actually prove that it's a diva and not just hydrogen and oxygen? Like, how would you communicate with that diva?
It's a whole nother class, that's a whole nother class. I'm not going to get into that. But that's just the teaching. That's the teaching. Because now, I mean, that's just the teaching. Why? The question you have to go back and ask yourself. Why hydrogen is the way it is, and why oxygen is the way it is. What make that configuration, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question you have to ask yourself. Why in hydrogen you have one electron spinning around that nucleus. Why is that that way? By chance? No, it's not by chance. It's because the power of that diva that allows that to happen. Because at the same time, the same way you have matter, you have antimatter. And they have proven that antimatter exists, some 50, 60 some years ago? They proved that antimatter exists. So why haven't antimatter canceled out that one electron spinning around that nucleus? Because there's a balance there, and that balance is the diva.
allows the law to remain perfect.
It allows the law to stay in balance and be perfect. You know, because right now, what scientists are doing? Scientists done went and built huge laboratories to do what? To crash atoms. To do what? To bring about antimatter. Why? Because out of their own ignorance, they see that they realize that if they had enough antimatter like this, they could travel. They can muster enough energy to travel, throughout the solar system and the galaxy, just by a small antimatter like this. Because they realize because what I told you before about their particular, how do they harness energy? By what? By destruction. By destruction. So that's the big difference. And how long would it take them to come up with a pound of antimatter? Do you know how long?
A very long time.
Huh?
A very long time.
What?
A very long time.
30,000 years. Now, what they do, they go and they use this huge machine. The machine bigger than this. It's probably it's the size of a city. Just to produce one little particle of antimatter. And then when they create it, they have to keep it in motion. Because if they don't, what would happen? They would destroy the whole facility. So they use these huge magnets that's 300 miles long to suspend that antimatter and have it go around and around and around forever. So yeah, it is the divas that make that work like that. It's the divas. And if you understand mathematics, you have to understand that, you have to ask yourself immediately, when you have that type of knowledge and understanding, that why haven't this collided? Why haven't these two parallel universes just destroyed themselves? It is the Diva Kingdom.
Can we communicate with the Diva Kingdom?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Through prayer or?
Well, you can communicate them in all different type of ways. What the Hindus do and the Buddhists do is a good practice to do. That, let's say when you get ready to pray, right? You take, you do a preparation, and the Their Society used to do this all the time. In fact, you'll see it in the 12 lesson books.
Use the elements?
Not on the elements. What they did, they would bake a cake or a meal, and they would dedicate that to the Diva Kingdom. They will, when they're making that cake or making that meal, they don't do it haphazardly. Just like I was talking to you about, and don't get in this instinctive mode.
You do it with devotion.
You do it with devotion. You cook and you prepare that meal with great devotion. And then when you finish the meal, you say, I dedicate this to the Diva Kingdom. And then you go and you do your blessings. Or your spiritual practice, whatever you're doing. And then when you come out, then everyone eat that food in that, in the light that they have given this to. And what you did, you created a extra layer of energy, that good energy going to the Diva Kingdom from the good actions that you did. You labored physically, and now you labored emotionally and psychically and mentally over your prayers, and that's one way you can help, send energy to the Diva Kingdom. You do it in an indirect way. That's what I mean by that. Yeah.
Now, when we talk about divine timing, are the divas control that as well?
Divine what?
Divine timing. Let's say for whatever to happen for you, blessings or whatever that is you're gonna receive.
You control that.
Oh, okay.
You create your own destiny by your own thoughts and actions. It's just like what Dwayne was talking about. If I took one hydrogen atom and two oxygen atoms and I put them together, water is produced. Why is that water is produced?
The other way.
It's two hydrogen and one oxygen. Why is that water produced? Right? Water is produced because the divas are there. Right? I just brought, in bringing that together, a diva had to come on that scene in order to make that law work. Right? The same way if I took a match and I lit that match, a diva had to come and make that work. Now, I had to create the conditions to allow that diva to come. If I took the water and I took the water and poured it in a bowl, then I took the matches and I dipped the matches in the water and then went to go strike the match, I didn't create the proper conditions to allow that diva to manifest itself. All right? So now, the divas, the Hindus tell us, or the tantric teachings tell us, that the water itself is the diva. The water only exists because of the diva. And what happened, we bring those elements together, and what we do, we create a vehicle for the diva to exist through the water. If we light the match is lit because of the diva, because the match cannot be there without the diva. So the match itself is the diva, or an extension of the diva. All right? When we put the match out, then the diva can leave that area. Okay?
So in a sense, that's divic magic. By bringing
That's
the materials
divic magic,
together,
yeah.
we're invoking, by bringing the hydrogen and oxygen together, we're invoking the diva of water.
Yes, it's a magical action.
So every act then is a magic.
Yeah. Every act is a magical action. Because remember what I told you in many classes, I said you can never describe what what every action is. It's impossible. Because so many things are happening on so many different levels. So every action, a diva is a part of that. The 70% of your body is water. So what is that?
It's a diva.
It's a diva present in the body. 7% of your body is water, so there's a diva present in your body.
Now, hydrogen and oxygen, those are just configurations of prana.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'm able to configure prana, or the types of pranas into that configuration, could I invoke a diva by sending out that particular type of energy?
In what sense?
Like, instead of actually physically gathering hydrogen gas and oxygen gas, but if I knew the prana configuration for hydrogen and oxygen, could I then configure the prana myself and then invoke the diva to make water, to manifest
water?
water?
You can make water mentally. You can do that. You can make water mentally. If you're thinking about water, you'll create water.
But to bring it from the mental realm to the physical realm, I'd have to know how
to
to.
do that too, if you're powerful enough.
Got to raise enough
Huh?
You got to raise enough energy
Yeah.
to a certain level.
Yeah, in order to do that. See, in the past, as Dr. King told us, in the past, that we didn't have to go and create matches and all this stuff, and mix hydrogen with oxygen in order to produce water, or create some match in order to produce fire. With certain mantras and hand signs, we just did the mantra and the hand sign, and the diva materialized, out of the ethers, and produced whatever size fire we wanted, or gave us whatever type of water we wanted. Because why? Because the karmic conditions on Earth at the time was at that level where where we were able to do that. And that's one of the reasons why, and when you read the old Hindu books, and the Buddhist books, you see stories of the divas appearing and giving them what they wanted. You see that inside the story of Moses. Go back and read the story of Moses. You know, when they were on their journey to the promised land, what happened?
He invoked the diva to split the ocean.
Huh?
To
Not
split
only
the sea.
not only that, but what did they do? They needed food, and the food manifested before them, right? The manna fell out of the sky, right? So that was, you know, that was the diva kingdom working in perfect, because they had broke the bondage of a 400-some year, you know, hold, you know, that the authority at that time had on them, and they had surrendered themselves to God. So then when they needed food and water, the food and water was there, you know, on their journey. You know that, and you know that's the big difference.
Does it take a adept or a master to be able to do such a thing?
To do what?
Like create water or food or anything of your.
Well, it'll take someone with the knowledge and science of that. Yeah. You know, I don't know if they have to be an adept or a master, but it'll take someone with the knowledge and science of that. Yeah.
So technically, I could do a samyama on water, figure out its pranic configuration, and use mantra and mudra to invoke the necessary amount of pranic energy, and then use visualization to materialize it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that can happen. Now, the question is, you have to use your nana, your nana yoga, to know when is proper to do that. That's you know, because you know you may do it at the wrong place or the wrong time and bring about negative karma upon yourself. That's the question.
So no turning water into wine for fun?
Huh? What?
No turning water into wine for fun?
No, I'm just saying. I mean, you have to know what you're doing. I mean, like if you went to certain places in the world where there's a bunch of, you know, of evil or evil people there, or not evil people, but just it can be one evil person, like a king or a president, who's starving and doing the people wrong.
Right.
And then you go there and you turn a desert into an ocean. And then they use that ocean to power their weapons. You know, to power their factories to build their weapons so that they can further do whatever. Then that karma is on who?
Me.
So that's that's the wisdom that you have to take with the knowledge. So, I mean with the power. So that's why you have to be very, very careful about, once you get certain knowledge and certain power, how to use it.
Although you're thinking you're doing
You might think you're doing good, and you might be doing bad. You might, you know. So you have to be very careful about it.
But even in that situation, I'm letting thousands of people starve because this one tyrant.
No, not necessarily. You have to understand things, you know, to a certain level. You don't get it, huh?
I understand what you're saying, but I mean, if I were to go into a situation to say turn a desert into an oasis to feed people, or to like desalination plants, for example, to filter salt water into fresh water for people who don't have fresh water.
Well, let me say this. If I was to go there and do that, I would probably take an army with me to protect it. So, I mean, you have to think like that. You know, and most people can't deal with that type of thought because everything is peace and bliss, you know. And peace sometimes come under the, you know, it comes under the sword of righteousness, you know, real righteousness, you know. So I mean, go back and study your teachings. What's wrong sometimes is not wrong. What's good sometimes is not necessarily good. You know, it's the perception of it. It's the state of consciousness that you're at when you're viewing it. That's how you have to look at it.
Like even Gandhi's peaceful revolution is a violent act.
Yeah. And even Gandhi said that. He said, I believe in fighting. You know, but it's the how you fight. You know, sometimes you have to, you have to pick up arms in order to protect yourself. If I have the power to protect myself, and I allow somebody to come in the room and just kill me, am I right or wrong?
Wrong.
Huh?
Wrong.
Wrong, right. If I had the power to stop them from killing me, then why didn't I use it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I had the wisdom and say, well, my death would save 1 million other people, then am I wrong?
No.
I'm not wrong. You know? So it's a state of consciousness that you're under in doing it. You know, so don't, because that is an act of suicide. Understand that.
Mm-hmm.
You have the power to stop someone and you don't. You know, and suicide is wrong. So I mean, you don't do that. You know, then if you have the power to the knowledge of something to help millions of people, but it's going to kill 10 million people, should you do it? Are you wrong for not doing it? You know, and that's the thing you have to look at. And then, what if what you do start a 400-year war? You know, I mean, those are the questions you have to ask yourself. You know.
I have a question. What would be the reason why, if you have the proper condition to call the diva to manifest something and it doesn't manifest? Let's say with the proper, that you have the proper condition, like you have the match and then you don't have light. What would be the reason why that
Because
happens?
you didn't have a proper condition. If you created the proper condition, then that fire will be there. If you create the proper condition, that light will be there. The fact that you don't have the proper condition, that's why it's not. The fact that it didn't come, there was something stopping it from coming. You know, it's just like the farmer who plants the seed in the fertile ground, right? Then he go to sleep and overnight there's a freeze, right? Then the diva of frost came in and froze the ground. So what happened when you freeze something? You can't have germination. You know, the 14 major minerals that feed that seed, it can't move because why? It's static. Because heat have things to move. And those 14 major minerals in the soil will dive into that, it's heated up and it's dived into that seed and nourish that seed, and then the seed sprout and blossom, right? But if a frost come over that ground, you know, it puts everything into a dormant sleep or static state. So nothing can happen.
What would the diva do that for? Karmically?
Well, it's karmically, the freeze had to come. So I mean, but that's what happens. You know, so conditions are not right. Now, once the freeze go, then the conditions are right again. You know, if the seed is still good. You know, so that's you have to. It's just like mechanics. If something's wrong with your car, you take it in to be fixed because why? Because the divas is making that mechanical. Because divas make mechanical machines work. If the divas If something's wrong inside there, then it won't work. It won't work. You know, so the mechanic has to go in, make the conditions right, and then the divas can make sure that the gas and the oil and everything in the car and the water is working properly. You know, it can go to work and move itself through that particular car, you know, or machine to make it work. That's what the Diva Kingdom is about.
Could there be a situation where a diva is withheld because of certain laws.
Withheld from what?
Like, for example, knowledge that we're not supposed to have. But I prepare all the correct conditions for a certain result, but because we're not allowed to have that result, a diva would be withheld. Or say,
Like what?
like for healing, for example, if I bring all the proper conditions necessary to heal someone's ailment, but
To heal someone what?
to heal someone's ailment, like they have cancer or something, but despite all my efforts, all the proper conditions, all my preparations, the person is not healed.
Then all the conditions was not right. You may have brought all the conditions on your side, but what about the other person? Have they prepared themselves to receive that? Remember, go back to mathematics. When you look at mathematics, the electronic configuration and the chemical bond mathematics, you remember those? Where you have to balance both sides?
Yes.
In order to come up with the proper the solution? Well, that's what has to happen. If I'm over here and I'm trying to heal I'm preparing to give someone healing, and then this person over here, they haven't did not one thing I asked them to do, then they haven't opened the door for that particular healing. See, so that's what, all the conditions were not met. You might be focused on what you have to do, but you also have to be focused on the other person being able to receive, because if they can't receive it, then you can't help them. If they haven't conditioned themselves to receive what you're trying to give them, all your effort is for nothing. Simple as that. I mean, the fact that it's just like the teachings we're studying here. If someone's not open to it, they'll never get it. They'll never get it. So it'll be useless to even speak it to them. So that's the difference.
What about, like, say, higher order information, like the secrets to magnetic energy that was withheld from us? Even if we built the lab and designed all the technologies from it, for it, because that's withheld from us, it wouldn't matter.
Well, it's not only that so much too. Now you got to understand something too, which I really haven't had a class on. Might be interesting to do a class on. The ring pass knot. I told everybody about that, right?
Yeah.
Everybody know what the ring pass knot is? Well, the ring pass knot is something that well, she wasn't the first one spoke about it, but she was one of the most popular people to speak about it, and that was Madame Blavatsky in her teachings. I think it was either the Secret Doctrines or the Isis Unveiled. I think it was the Secret Doctrines. She spoke about that after the fall of Lemurius, a thin ionization belt was put around the Earth, right, to cut the Earth off of certain energies coming from the sun, the other planets, and even the central sun, even from the galaxy. And what it did, it changed the makeup of mankind, and it changed the molecular properties of Earth, right? And then after Atlantis, the fall of Atlantis, this thin layer of ionization was intensified some thousands of times, to further limit the molecular properties of this Earth. Okay, so then what is that telling us? That's telling us that certain sciences and certain elements that was abundant here on Earth at one time is no longer abundant to us, until we change our thinking patterns and our way of living. So it's not that those properties, it's not that scientifically those properties don't work. they just not available to us. You can't find those particular properties. They not available to us. And the more, because many years ago, scientists would say, oh, we done surveyed the whole earth, and we know what's here. But now it's a different tone now, because now they have greater X-ray machines. They have sonic machines. They have more satellites up. Now they're saying, well, we really don't know what's what's in the earth. We don't know we really don't know what's down there. We have no clue about the sea, about the ocean. The ocean make up 70% of the surface of the earth. So there's elements and properties of the elements that they haven't even began to find or begin to explore for, because they don't know it exists. So no, the thing, it exists there, but the conditions are not right to allow us to handle them. Because why? Because we're not mentally and physically prepared to. And that's what the ring pass not is. The ring pass not is that you will not pass a certain ring or level until you are prepared for it. As simple as that. So the great ones put that type of limitation on us to help us. To help us. Any other questions? I want to say something for you. You were saying meditate. How do you meditate? Did I go over the proper way to do that? You're not blinking your mind, are you?
Yeah, what I do, I try to, I do the violet flame, then I do visualization. I visualize myself in the white light and everything, and I try to make silence in my mind in a way, like have a total peace in my mind, and with my eyes closed, and then I'm sitting there with the palm of my hands up and waiting to receive.
Okay, don't blink the mind. Okay, don't blink the mind. And I know that's a popular thing with meditation. People tell you to go blink your mind, but don't do that.
But how do you? Oh, I have to try to control those thoughts and those.
Yeah. Think about one thing. If you say you're waiting for something, then you can say that I don't know. You can say that you're open for the power of God or something like that. You're opening yourself up for the power of God, but don't blank the mind. To blank your mind is not a good practice. In fact, it's a form of black magic. Okay, because what happens when you blank your mind, then you can allow entities to come in and take over in other words, when you blank your mind, you open your aura up. And any entity is around and see an opening, they can come and lock themselves in your aura and have you desiring and doing things that you don't want to do. Yeah, it's like leaving the car door open. And someone just come in and just go for a cruise. So don't do that. There any bars near you? Huh? There any bars near your house?
No.
Okay, that's good. 'Cause you have a lot of entities hang out with bars and clubs and stuff, and they seek out people. And they go and they enter the aura and they just go. They have their way with you. So don't You know, don't blank your mind. You know, concentrate on one thing. And in your concentration on that one thing, you can request, and you repeat that request over and over and over. If you want to relax, you can just tell yourself, relax, 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 relax. But don't blink your mind.
But aren't you supposed to observe whatever thoughts come and then just let them go?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
go back to your
That's a-
concentration?
yeah. That's one
Go
way
back
of,
to your concentration?
that's at the beginning. If you have grasshopping thoughts that keep coming to your mind, you don't fight it. You don't fight the grasshopping thoughts. You allow it to come, you examine it, then you dismiss it. You examine it, dismiss it, until you get to where you want to be.
Yeah,
You know?
because what happened is I thought that by blinking, that's so I can get the message that my higher self is giving me. So I thought these thoughts were disturbing me in getting, because sometimes it's hard to discern. It's not easy to discern which thoughts are from your higher self and which one is just your mind making tricks, tricking you. Okay.
But don't blank your mind. Don't do that. Just allow the thoughts to come. Examine the thoughts of what they are and set it aside until you get to where you want to go. You know, and then what's going to come home is the thought that you originally wanted is going to come after you dismiss everything else. Don't fight with it. Just gradually do it, push it aside. And then when that thought come up, then you take that and you embrace that and you hold on to that for your time of meditation. And you just think about that thing. And don't allow anything else to come in. Yeah.
Would one be able to tell if one of those entities that are roaming around gets into your aura? If it's your experience?
It depends on how sensitive you are. You know. But don't you see entities? So you should see it and feel it coming. So you may see it, but the next person who can't see it, they won't see it. You know. So, but if you keep your house prayed up and bless your house and put the violet flame around your house the same way you do, those entities don't want to come. Also, plant some sweet flowers. If you fear that you may have disconnected entities coming around your house, plant some sweet flowers around the house. Entities don't like that. You know, negative entities, they don't like sweet smelling stuff. You know, burn some incense. They don't like those things. You know, it puts off a certain. Remember what I told you. Fire penetrates all the rims. All right. And smell, smell is a resort of fire. All right, so when you burn those incense, you are affecting the psychic and the astral realms as well. All right, and when you plant those good smelling flowers, same thing. Bringing that's like placing a barrier around your house or your property. By doing that. All right. Is there any other questions?
What's our next series on?
Anyone have the calendar? I told you all of it. What is it? What is it?
The metaphysical anatomy of man.
I asked you all. That's something you want to go into. Nobody gave me an answer.
The anatomy.
The metaphysical makeup of man.
Yes.
All right. That's what our next one is.
After that.
We above the schedule though. Unless you all want to have an open class next week.
We can have the metaphysical done.
We have a class on practicing